Introverts and Extroverts. Anne, this is my friend, Mrs. Baker. Anne, this is my friend, Mrs. Baker. Anne, this is my friend, Mrs. Baker. My mom was trying to get me to say, "Hello, Mrs. Baker, how are you?" But my 6-year-old self just couldn't do it. First, I was introverted and hated talking to strangers, and a good many non-strangers. Second, I thought that was a dumb thing for a kid to say. I didn't know any other 6-year-olds who talked like that. I was a good girl, the kind who never got in trouble, except for in moments like these. My mother didn't understand my reserve, and we battled over these sorts of introductions for years. In hindsight, our dynamic makes sense. My mom is an extrovert to the core, a vivacious people person, the sort who's never met a stranger. She loves being out in the world. She's always loved meeting new people and making new connections. She revels in introducing her husband, friend, or daughter to her third-grade teacher's mother's next-door neighbor, or her best friend's little brother's mail carrier. "What a delightful small world it is," she'd often say to me. Mom couldn't imagine that not everyone thought it was a delight and a joy to chatter for hours about anything at all with friends, acquaintances, and strangers, and that I wouldn't likewise enjoy meeting them and learning all about their personal histories. It never occurred to her that her introverted daughter didn't enjoy being constantly on the go, meeting new people, and connecting with old ones. My mom thought I was being cheeky, tapping into my latent rebellious side. She was baffled by the outright refusal of her otherwise obedient daughter to cooperate on this one point. She didn't understand until many years later that I was an introverted kid, reacting exactly as you'd expect an introvert of any age to react when forced into such a situation. It was as though I was right-handed and she was asking me to write with my left. I couldn't do it, nor did I want to. What you need to know about introverts and extroverts. What both my mom and I know now, that we didn't understand then, is that introverts and extroverts are prone to misunderstanding one another. Introverts are often thought to be shy, and they may battle the perception that they dislike people or company, or that they're grouchy or social misfits. Extroverts, however, battle the perception that they're flighty or shallow or relentlessly happy. People tend to assume extroverts are bad listeners, hate being alone, and are irrationally needy for the company of others. To truly understand introversion and extroversion, we need to cut through the misconceptions and grasp what these terms really mean. Grammar geek alert. Introvert and extrovert are verbs as well as nouns, although to get even geekier, the verb form is actually extrovert with an A. And to further complicate matters, Carl Jung spelled his noun extrovert with an A, but the modern spelling is more often extrovert with an O. The north and south of temperament. Even though Carl Jung first introduced the terms introvert and extrovert back in 1921 in his now classic volume Psychological Types, the concepts, especially introversion, crashed into the public's consciousness in 2012 with the publication of Susan Cain's Quiet, which greatly increased awareness of the power of introverts in a world that can't stop talking. Cain succinctly defines introverts as people who prefer quieter, more minimally stimulating environments, compared to extroverts who seek out and even thrive on noise and stimulation. Introverts are fundamentally attuned to what happens within, while extroverts focus externally on the world around them. Both types naturally want to spend more time in the real world, but disagree on which that is, the external world of experience or the inner world of thought. Researchers generally agree that introverts and extroverts are born, not made. While one's tendency may shift over time, people tend to become more introverted as they get older. They don't choose to be one type or the other. Studies estimate that 1/3 to 1/2 of us fall on the introverted end of the spectrum. Men are ever so slightly more likely to be introverted than women. As far as personality distinctions go, introversion versus extroversion is an important one. Scientist J.D. Higley calls introversion and extroversion, or, as he phrases it, inhibition and boldness, the north and south of temperament. These traits affect the very core of who we are.